Wow, what a fantastic turnout. I'm glad you're all here. I'm delighted you were able to make it despite the weather. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Professor Kasomanakis. I teach in the business department at Queensborough, and I'm also the faculty coordinator of the Business Society. So it's just great to see so many people that have such an ambition to learn about the transferability requirements to Baruch and Queens College. It shows me tremendous motivation on your part to continue your education beyond Queensborough. So my congratulations to you. So you have come to the right place at the right time to get all that information that you need. So let's get started with the meeting right away because it's a chock full of information. And I first want to introduce you to our speakers that are going to be giving you the valuable information. We have Professor Villani from the Business Department. Let's give a nice round of applause. Natalie, my apologies if I mispronounce your last name, Runchan, who is the freshman coordinator from the Business Academy. Mr. Brian Kerr, Director, Office of Academic Affairs. Mr. Andre Combs, Academic Advisor. And Mr. George Machida, who is the four-year college transfer coordinator. And I also have two guests from Hofstra. And we have Ms. Bales, who is the Assistant Dean of the Frank Zarb School of Business at Hofstra. And Erin Hornog, hope I pronounced that too. If I didn't, my apologies. Who is the Assistant Director of Admissions at Hofstra University. So let me turn over the mic now to Professor Villani, and here she is.
Okay. Can you hear me with this one, or no? Maybe this one's better? Okay, welcome. It's a great turnout. We're happy to see all of you, especially in light of the weather today. Let me know if you can't hear me. I tend to fade down a little bit. We have many things to share with you today. The announcement mentioned about transferring, and we're certainly going to speak on that, but we're also going to speak a little bit about what you're doing here at Queensborough, because we believe if you're successful at Queensborough, that will enhance you and you move on to the next college. So we will go over some tips along those lines as well. Before we get started, our Hofstra representatives are passing around clipboards. I guess if you're interested in Hofstra, fill out your name and contact information. So that's going around in the meanwhile. Okay, everyone was introduced. Okay, first thing we want to mention, here you are at the community college, and we want to make sure everyone understands. We're a community college, part of CUNY. CUNY has 23 institutions in total, consisting of several senior colleges and several junior colleges. The community college is a junior college. Typically at the junior college level, you'll look to achieve 60 credits, usually around 60 credits, you might go a few over, and that leads to an associate degree. Sometimes referred to as a two-year college, because if you do 60 credits in 4 semesters, that would be 15 credits each semester, so that's where the 2 years come from. But most people don't accomplish it in 2 years, so if you take more than 2 years, there's no harm in that, and certainly no shame in it. Okay, then you look to move on to your senior college level, which is typically 120 credits. It could exceed that again. And then you would earn your bachelor's degree. Okay, and that's sometimes referred to as the 4-year college. Okay, here at Queensborough, we offer an associate degree. You need to complete all the courses in your program. You need to have a 2.0 average, and you need to have 2 writing-intensive courses, which will be referred to later on. In all cases, you receive an associate's degree. The different degrees are the AA, the Associate of Arts, the AS, the Associate in Science, and the AAS, Associate in Applied Science. So it's 3 types of degrees, but they're all associate degrees, which means you've earned the degree from a community college. The difference between them is how many liberal arts and science courses are. So for instance, the AAS, we only have 1/3 liberal arts. The majority are whatever the program is. So if in your accounting, you'll have 2/3 would be in the accounting program. Okay, so it's all a matter of liberal arts is the difference in the 3 degrees. Okay? Okay, so what do you want to achieve here? Okay, if you're interested in transferring, your goal is to take 60 credits at Queensborough, earn your associate degree, and then transfer to the senior college. And then hopefully you'll just take 60 more credits and then you'll earn your bachelor's degree. So what you want to look at is how to plan properly so that you can do this efficiently. You don't want to take 60 credits here that aren't going to be worth anything when you go to the senior college and then have to take a full 120. You want to plan ahead so that the 60 credits you're taking here apply to whatever program you're going to pursue when you move on to the senior college. All right, so it's all in the planning, and we want you to start planning now. And we suggest you don't just go semester by semester. What you should be doing is a long-range plan. 2 long-range plans. One here at the community college, what you would want to take each semester to accomplish your associate's degree here, and then thinking also where you intend to transfer to and have a long-range plan for there also. And you want to do this because the more efficient you are, the quicker you will accomplish your goal. You will not waste taking courses that might not be necessary. Okay, so here at Queensborough, in the business department, we offer these programs you can see here: the business administration, the accounting, computer information systems, management, and the office administration and technology. The codings next to those are how they're coded on any records that you obtain from the college. The business administration will give you the AS degree. All the others are AAS. Again, it's all a matter of the number of liberal arts courses you take. Okay, so first you want to know what you're doing here at Queensborough, and we have a lot of help here to help you with it. Okay, all of us that are sitting here on this panel advise students, so we're familiar with all of the requirements. Okay, and then second, you want to familiarize yourself with the requirements for the college that you intend to transfer to. Because again, you want to make sure you take courses here that are going to be a smooth slide over to the senior colleges. Okay, what's very important, number 3 here, is some courses transfer course for course, some courses transfer as elective credit. Now, there's no harm in having elective credit. However, you want to keep your elective credit smaller and your course for course bigger, because in the long run, that's going to help you and save you time when you transfer to the senior colleges. And we're going to give you some information on that. Okay? So what we suggest is you do a semester by semester plan. Now, there's checklists by, I want to get out of this window for a minute here. Let me see where it is. Yeah. I'll start with this one. Okay? We have a lot of things to help you. It's actually on the next slide. I'll mention it now. You should look at the college catalogs from each of the colleges. Certainly be familiar with Queensborough's, and then whatever college you intend to transfer to. It's very convenient these days because so much is on the websites. So go to the college websites. They have tons of information available to you. In each of our departments, I'm in the business department. Ms. Rupchan's in the freshman academy. I'm sure most of you have met her if you started here the last year or 2. Mr. Machita's in the administration building. He's our 4-year transfer counselor. And then Mr. Kerr and Mr. Coombs are in the academic advisement center. And in every one of those areas, we have different information for you and checklists to help you out. But what I have here, I've shared with my students, so I'm sharing it with you today. And I hope to have this in ePortfolio shortly so any of you can access it. But what I've done here is 2 templates. One is the business administration program. So it lists all of the required courses, and it notes the prerequisites and the credits. And what I suggest you do is print this out. It's prepared in Excel, but you don't have to do it in Excel. If you want to, the arithmetic will be done automatically for you. But you don't need to do it in Excel. And plan each semester what courses you've already taken if you've been in college for a while, and what you plan to take every semester, including the summer, including the January mini session if you intend to go, so that you have a long-range plan and when you expect to earn your degree here at Queensborough. And the reason I suggest this is because I advise a lot of students, and I cannot tell you the number of times the student's ready to graduate and is missing one course. And maybe that course is BU 203. And the problem is they didn't know there were prerequisites on BU 203. And now all of a sudden they think they're graduating in May and they have to go to summer school. Very common, very common. So if you plan ahead, long range, then you know what the prerequisites are, you take the courses in the proper order, and you should achieve your graduation when you want to. Now, there's also no harm if you have to change it. Things happen. Circumstances come up. So if you need to drop a course or make a change, or you decide you don't like the program you're in and you want to switch, absolutely do it. But always do it with a plan. Okay, so I actually have two of these available for the business accounting program because I am an accounting professor here, and also for the business administration program. Not only if you decide to use this, use it for here at Queensborough, but then use the same idea when you transfer to the senior colleges. Make a plan, find out the requirements, look at what you want to do each semester, and have your goal, what you expect to accomplish at graduation. It's a great tool. And I'll tell you as an aside, I've done this with my children. 2 of my children graduated from college already, and I made sure, because I was paying their bills, I made sure they got out very efficiently without having to spend a lot of extra tuition. And the third one's just about ready to graduate as well. So this works well, and I've used it for students, and I've used it for my own family. Okay. I hope to have that on ePortfolio, and as soon as we do, Vicki will get that information. Professor Kasamanakis will get that out to you. Okay? And this I already said, we have many tools available to you to help you. Ultimately, you're responsible. It's your degree. It's your time. It's your money. So we can advise you best we can and guide you and make suggestions based on our experience with so many students. But ultimately, it's up to you to find out the information and work towards earning your degree. Okay, I think Mr. Brian Kerr will come up now.
No, I can do it. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. I'm very impressed at the turnout. I want to make sure I don't spend a lot of time speaking at you because I hope you'll ask a lot of questions. My name is Brian Kerr. I'm from Academic Advisement, and I think the last time I did one of these presentations was about 5 years ago. So I'm dating myself now, but it's so nice to see, and I'm glad we moved to a bigger venue because I think we had about 50 students and we were crammed in this very small space. Also happy to be here with my colleagues and our colleagues from Hofstra University. I'm going to talk quickly just about the business administration program. Professor Villani talked about it being an AS degree. You see 31 to 36.5 credits in liberal arts and science. It says includes foreign language. If you're doing BT1, you don't always need foreign language. If you have 3 units, or 3 or more high school units of a foreign language, you're exempt. Many times students coming from high school do not, so as a result, they have to take foreign language. Most 4-year schools, I come from, in another life, I worked at Stony Brook University. Most of the SUNY and most 4-year schools do require a year of foreign language. So I often tell my students it's not a bad thing to have, so don't worry about having to take language. 23 credits of business courses are in the curriculum, and then there's a 1 to 6 credit of free electives. Again, traditionally, the AS-BT is the transfer degree. Now, we do have an accounting program. We have an articulation with Queens College in accounting, so you could use, although accounting is an AAS, most AAS or career programs were designed with the notion of you would do these programs and go right to work. You wouldn't be going on to have any more schooling. So you do your AAS, you'd go out to work, just like nursing, when you think of being a nurse. And things are changing and times have changed, but if you do the AAS in nursing, the assumption is you're going to be a nurse. You go out and work in a hospital and you're a nurse. Nowadays, I think in terms of strengthening the profession, they're asking for students to go back beyond the associate's RN to get a bachelor's degree. With the AAS degree in accounting, 20 years ago or so, more people would go out and work for a Jackson Hewitt or H&R Block. More students now are doing, and what's good about this articulation is that Queens College basically, and Professor Villani is going to talk about that again a little later, takes the majority of the credits that you transfer from Queensborough when you get the degree. And I really want to emphasize in both cases, and what we do a lot in advisement and the four-year transfer office, and our freshman coordinators talk about this, and the faculty talk about this, it's really beneficial to you as a student to get the degree. I can't emphasize that enough. When you transfer with an associate's degree, four-year colleges, whether you're going to Hofstra, whether you're going to Baruch, Queens, Stony Brook, they're going to take all of your credits, and when you're in a transfer program particularly. So that's something to think about. A lot of students come in, and in my days of doing this, and I think I'm in my 14th year or so of being in advisement, although I know I look so young. It's 14 years, I can't believe it, this October. Students often don't realize that, well, they'll say, I just really want to get in and get out of here as quick as possible. My friends are at four-year schools. I want to get to the four-year school. I think if you've been here for a little while, you understand, and I hope know, some of the benefits of being at a community college, that you have smaller classrooms, usually better, more attention to detail in terms of being able to get to your teachers, your faculty members. Yes, we have a big campus. There are 15,000 students, but there are a lot of nice things about being in a what I call a community college, where you're really getting some good core training to help you be fully proficient when you get to the four-year college. And it's cheaper, so you can never go wrong with that. The AAS is 20 credits of liberal arts, so you see the 31 to 36. There were more liberal arts and science credits with the BT1. Does not include foreign language, so if you're really opposed to foreign language and you don't meet that exemption, then this could be the program for you. And as you can see, there are 40 credits of business courses and 25 in accounting. So it's more specifically geared to giving you that business and accounting background. And as you can see, no free electives. So they're not wasting any time there's no BSing with this. You're getting right to it, getting the skills so that you can become an accountant. That's what it's for. Required math courses. This is also a big thing, because I think sometimes our students get tied up on, well, I really like business, but I'm not the best math person. Obviously, to do business or to be in the business profession, you have to have some math background. Unfortunately, that's sort of a requisite skill. So at QCC, you're required to take 4 credits of math. Many times it ends up being more than 4 credits because you may be taking remedial courses, and I'll have another slide to show that. But in terms of the programs, BT or BA, the math courses that you need would be Math 128, 260, or 440. And 261 and 441 are offshoots of courses that you need if you were going, whether it be Queens or Baruch, to give you extra math coursework. And Mr. Machida is going to discuss this with Ms. Rupchan a little bit later. When I talked about needing math, 4 credits of math, yes, but what some people don't realize is that you also need to get out of remediation. So if you came in needing remedial coursework, let's say it could look something like this, where you have Math 10, and you need to take and pass Math 10 to move on to Math 120. Now, Math 120 is college algebra and trigonometry. It is a course for credit. However, that's not the course that the business department requires for the degree. They would require that you have Math 128. So if we're looking at business administration, you would normally see on our sheets, we put Math 128, 260, or 440. If you're looking at accounting or the BA2, you generally see Math 128 or 260. Now, after you take the course, the math course for credit, so now we've taken Math 10, we're out of remedial, we take Math 120, which is algebra and trigonometry, and then we're going to go into that math that they want in the department, whether you're taking BT or BA, which is one of the courses I talked about before, and then after you have the math requirement, you move on to Business 203, which is statistics. A lot of fun. Let me just see. Okay, Queens College. We usually recommend that students take Math 128 when they're going to Queens. I know we have some other things written on here. The recommended Math 128 meets the Queens QCC math requirement and meets the calculus requirement for the Queens College Echo 249 course, which is required if you're going to Queens College. in terms of the math requirement, and we're looking at Baruch, you see two options here. When we do give 128 as an option for Baruch, but the better option, particularly if you're a stronger math student, I would say it's usually 128 is the easier course, then it goes 260, then 440. If you're a very good math student, I think the easiest way, and I think my colleagues would agree, when I say easiest might not be the right word, but the most prudent way would be to take Math 440, which is pre-calculus, and 441. And you'll see here, note, Baruch requires the calculus 441 or 261 for junior level status. So they'll still accept you if you had 440 or 260 as your required math, because that's what you needed to finish the degree at Queensborough. But their preference, because you'll have to do it there otherwise, they need calculus. So you can do 261 or 441. So if you can fit it in your schedule, the idea is, and you're not going to lose your TAP as a result of doing this for financial aid, or you have an extra summer where you want to make up work, there's nothing wrong with doing calculus, even though you don't need it for the degree. We often try to advise students for the degree. So these are the courses you need for the degree. But it's also important to tell you here that depending on where you're going, you really want to do research, because let's say it's Hofstra, let's say it's another private school. Beyond the degree, there's some classes that you may be able to take that give you additional credits once you get to the four-year school, because most four-year colleges will accept more than 60 credits. They generally will accept in a range of, it could be 75 to 80 credits, depending on where you're going. And I believe I talked about foreign language, but my colleague, Mr. Andre Coombs, is going to give you a more in-depth presentation on that. Thank you for your time. And I just wanted to give you one little plug from advisement. We started academic advisement on March 14th, and it goes to May 20th. Don't wait until your grades come in to get advised. Check the website, check your email, Tiger Mail. We're moving forward, and we're going to be doing that shortly. And I'll come up later to give you a quick demonstration on Tiger tracks. Mr. Coombs. Thank you.
Hi. As many of you all should know, all students, regardless of what their major is, must be placed by the Foreign Language Department, must have a placement. Now, the languages that we offer are Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Hebrew, Italian, and Spanish. If you're in the business administration program, you may be required to take foreign language. Now, if you're in the accounting program, the BA2, you're not required. Now, if you're exempt from foreign language at Queensborough, you can then take additional liberal arts and science electives. What qualifies to be exempt from the foreign language requirement? If you completed, as my colleague Mr. Kerr mentioned, if you have 3 or more years of the same foreign language in high school, you're not required to take foreign language. It's optional. But you would have to go to the Foreign Language Department and demonstrate you had 3 or more years. At this point in time, you can take the foreign language survey online to help you with your placement. If you speak a language, native speaker, you should also speak to the Foreign Language Department. And something else you should know, if you wish to take a language that we do not offer here at Queensborough, it is possible for you to take the class on e-permit and get credit for it here. So for example, let's say you wanted to take Japanese, for example, and we don't offer Japanese. You would go to the Foreign Languages Department for information. They will allow you to take that class and bring it back here to qualify for your foreign language requirement. So you may want to speak to them about that. Now, what are acceptable liberal arts and science electives? If you end up taking, for example, Math 440 for your, which is pre-calculus for your math requirement in business administration, you can take Math 441. That would be considered a liberal arts elective. The category for liberal arts elective and foreign language, it ranges between, I think, 6 to 8 credits worth of coursework. So if you're going to Baruch or you're not sure where you're going, then you may want to try to take the Math 440 and the Math 441. Now, as far as the foreign language requirements for Queens College and Baruch, I would recommend that you contact those schools directly for the language requirements. Some schools may exempt you based on your high school status, or they still may require you to do a certain number of semesters of foreign language. Okay? All right, thank you. Okay. Okay. At Queensborough, as of fall 2005, all students are required to take 2 writing intensive classes in order to graduate. Most of you have hopefully already taken at least 1 writing intensive class. For example, many of you are business students. You need economics or history or finance. There are some sections of those classes that may be considered writing intensive. What you would have to do is you would have to check online through the CUNY schedule of classes to see which sections are writing intensive. All writing intensive classes are regular classes here at the college that have an extra focus toward writing. You may have to do extra reports, papers, or special projects. Generally speaking, there are no more than 25 students per section. Now, many students believe that, for example, English composition 1 and 2 count toward the writing intensive requirement here at Queensborough, but those 2 classes do not count toward that requirement. English within itself is writing. So English does not fulfill your writing intensive requirement. So if you have any questions about if you've done these classes or not, when you come in for academic advisement, you have the advisor check and see if you've completed those requirements or you're still working on them. Okay? Thank you.
You can, yeah, that's fine. How many of you have used our new CUNY First system for registration, just by show of hands? Okay, so everyone's pretty much used it. I know you, if you're here this semester, you would have had to have used it, so I guess that was a trick question, but I wanted to make sure you were paying attention. I know we've had some challenges. We're still working on it. I've dealt with a lot of students who've said, why did you change to this system instead of eSIMS? eSIMS worked perfectly. It was fine. Well, that's sometimes when you work in a university system, you don't always have all the options to make your own rules. We're an institution of 23 different campuses, and there's a chancellor and other people beyond this campus that make decisions about what our technology is going to look like. So I will say there are a lot of benefits to this new system. You have a shopping cart feature, which I think you're allowed to use in about 2 weeks. You should really be checking again, my little plug, check your email for information on advisement, because it's that time. You want to start looking early to see what classes you need and what times work for your schedules, so you get the classes at the right time. I wanted to talk quickly.
You know what? Keep talking.
Okay, I wanted to talk quickly about you would go into when you used. How many of you are familiar with eSIMS? Because you used eSIMS, most of you are. Okay, eSIMS was a system that we used to go into what you'd call, like, if you were going to go on Blackboard, you go in there. You'd go into eSIMS to do your registration. You could also check the online schedule of classes that way. Through CUNY First, you can check the online schedule of classes right off the homepage. And Professor Villani is going to show you that in a second. I also wanted to do a quick demo because the way you would go into eSIMS, although we don't have it anymore, I'm hoping you still log into your CUNY portal. Do you still have and remember your CUNY portal password? Okay, that's good. Now, I think it was sort of foolish that we didn't have you log into the CUNY portal to get onto CUNY First, because it would have made sense. And one of the reasons, just to tell you why we changed from eSIMS platform to CUNY First, was that you notice that you no longer use your Social Security number to identify you as a student. We're using, and we were kind of archaic in doing this, we're probably one of the only institutions that still, up till last year, required students to give us their Social Security number for something, where now you have, instead of a 9-digit Social Security number, it's an 8-digit EMPL ID. So like an employee ID, you're like an employee at the college, that's what we say. So you have an 8-digit code. It's usually a 120 or 122. Are you following me? Do you know what your numbers are? I mean, I know you know your names, but you should look. When you log in, it's important because you should know what your number is. When you're asked at the registrar's office to submit a change of curriculum form, they're not going to ask you for your social. Your identifier now is your EMPL ID. So just remember that, and when you look and log in, you all claimed your accounts in CUNY First. Part of claiming your account, you get your EMPL ID. So you'll know what it is. When you see a 120 or 122, that's what they normally are. Some are like 203, but it's normally 120 or 122.
It's defaulting to the login, and I can't get out of it.
It always brings you to that page, man.
It's not, it shouldn't bring you to this.
Yeah.
Academic schedule of classes that we trying to get to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Click on that, close that page. Academics. Schedule of classes. Up. There.
Class schedule?
Yeah.
Oh, they do have that. We talked about that.
We were able to do it another way. I guess, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We circumvented this the other day by just clicking on the homepage on CUNY first, and it worked, but maybe it's different.
It does work, and they have it set for login, but on our computers, because what we normally do is we click on the CUNY first, and then to the right, you got the CUNY first homepage, and then on the right, it says summer classes, and you click there, and you'll get to this window. Okay? But go ahead, you want to take it from
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, just to, I guess I'm sure you've seen this if you registered. I know some of you had help probably in LB 24, where we had a makeshift sort of registration center. The registration center this go-around is going to be in A119.
119, not 119A.
A administration 119. Thank you, Mr. Machida.
119A is my office.
Right. A119, yes, not 119A. So obviously you're going to put your information in here for QCC fall. Let's say we're picking business because we're looking at business class availability. You must put in undergraduate when you go from here.
That's right. Okay.
And you search, and it processes and processes, and sometimes keeps processing. It does take a little longer, but guess what? I can look at the same student in academic advisement in the freshman academy in the four-year transfer office, where we couldn't do that before. We used to have to do something called mudding you off the system, which means if George wanted to look at you and I had you up, he would have to call me and say, Brian, John's in my office, can you get off his record so I can look at his courses? And we don't have to do that with this. It's a Windows-based system. Yes, we're moving into the high-tech era of the 21st century. So here, what's important, you see where it says 1 to 3 and then 25? When we first started this, a lot of students thought, or would call me and say, you know, Brian, how come there are only 3 sections of, what are we looking at? Accounting. How can there only be 3 sections? None of those times work for me. And I would say, they're only going to show you 3 because it's a panel. You have to click View All. When you click on View All, then you can look and actually it'll expand beyond 3 and you can see all 25 sections that are being offered. And that's important because, you know, on the first go-around, I know people were confused by that, but I want to make sure you're aware of that. This is pretty commonplace. I wanted to make sure you were aware and how to get here, dates. The other thing I wanted to show you really quickly was how to access, again, you all said you go in through your CUNY portal. So from the CUNY portal, how do you get into Tiger Tracks? And Tiger Tracks is basically the degree audit system. We have a program with DegreeWorks, which is a CUNY-wide system. All CUNY schools have this. And you can actually look and you can audit yourself and look at where you are if you didn't have access to an academic advisement checklist that all of our departments have.
Where's the login? Are you going to log in?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Just bear with me for a sec. I usually go from the, just go from the home page. All right, so CUNY portal up here. So you do your normal login. Okay, so it looks a little bit different for faculty and staff than it does for students. But obviously, you know, so I have things you wouldn't have. But what we both have is student advisement, degree audit, DegreeWorks. So we click on there, and this screen comes up. Is everyone familiar with this screen? Some of you are? Okay. I have a student who let me borrow their MPL ID, because that's how you have to get in. And he's okay with you looking at his coursework and his grades. He's very bold. His name is Andrew. And so now when you log in, it knows who you are. I have to put a student ID in because I can look up anyone. You only have access to you. So when you log in, obviously the login, based on the login, it knows who you are, and it would go right to, you know, Brian Kerr, because you are Brian Kerr, the student. Now from here, we do an audit. Every time you do an audit, you always want to click on Process New. It just makes sure it verifies all the newest and up-to-date information. There's actually a nice piece on our website, and I think the registrar's website, that was done by Phil and folks from Academic Computing Center that does a nice tutorial on how to use this system. So I know this is quick, but I really wanted you just to see the raw format. So, you have a legend here, complete, not completed, exempt, and then you see the student, when they came in, the degree they're in. Now, this student happens to be liberal arts and science with math and science. Now, I can do something really interesting here. Let's say you just decided to change your major, and we went from liberal arts and science, and we were thinking accounting, right? That happens. Okay, that's the catalog year. Accounting is the major, and process. So I started as liberal arts and science. Now I'm thinking of doing the applied associates in accounting. So what it would do, it would show me, what I still need. So we see all these checks, right? And then when we get here, okay, he needs an economics class. And then obviously, since the student wasn't a business student, you can see that he still needs accounting 1, 2, intermediate 1, 2, because he hasn't taken any business classes. I just wanted to give you like a heads up on how you would use this system. And this is a good tool, particularly if you're thinking of switching over your BT or BS2, your BM. You want to see what it would be like, how many credits would you need to finish in accounting? Or if you're accounting and you wanted to do business administration, how could you sort of segue between both? So that was just a little precursor to, a system we have that's up and running that you can use beyond the information that you get from the folks in advisement or your faculty members or the four-year transfer office or the freshman coordinator area. Okay? Thank you for your time. And you always want to log out of this because people can log back in and play with your system.
Okay, so you are here because you're interested in transferring, and we've given you some information about Queensborough. So now we're going to focus on transferring. I'm going to speak a bit about Queens College, in particular the accounting program, and then Mr. Machida is going to speak about transferring to Baruch and the whole application process. And we presume you'll have a lot of questions on that, so we're going to have Mr. Machida towards the end. In between, we're going to allow our Hofstra guests to come up, so we're going to do Queens College, then Hofstra, Baruch, and then move into questions and answers because we're sure you have plenty of them. Okay, I want to repeat this. We brought it up briefly before. You want to make sure that the courses you take here transfer to whatever four-year college you choose to go to. So you want to look specific for course-to-course transfer. You will probably have some courses that go as electives, but you'll find out that most senior colleges, typically that you'll take a program with your major. Most of the senior colleges have general education requirements, and then typically there's room for a lot of elective credits. Here at the community level, we only have 60 credits to work with, so we're really packed tight. But when you go over to the senior colleges, there's usually flexibility for elective. But again, you want to go mostly course for course, but having some elective is not a terrible thing either. Just want to mention to you that Queens College is usually a liberal arts college, and in the past just had the BA in accounting. In about the past 5 years, they did start some business administration programs, in particular in finance, international business, and actuarial studies. If you want to enter any of those 3 BBA programs, they look at your Accounting 1 and Accounting 2 grades and your 2 economic courses, SS 211 and 212. They claim that they're looking for about a 2.7 to a 3.0 average in those 4 courses. But what's actually happening is so many students have applied and they only have limited seats. They're really accepting students with a much higher average in those 4 courses than what they've has stated in their catalog. And that's simply because of the demand and the competition. Okay, but in Queens College, eventually you will need 2 economics courses, and I point that out because if you're taking the business administration program, the BT1 program, you are required to do the both economics. In the accounting program, BA2, you're only required to take 1 economics, but then you have room to take an elective. So you might want to consider on your social science, history, or speech elective, taking the 2nd economics course because you'll have to take it if you transfer to Queens, and then that's being efficient. You've taken the 2 courses here. That's 1 less course you need to take when you transfer. And we'll point out again that this is an issue. Over at Queens College, you'll have to take a statistics course, which is Echo 249 or their Math 241. And calculus is a prerequisite for that. So we normally recommend that students transferring to Queens College, you need a 4-credit math course here. One of those courses is Math 128. It transfers course to course at Queens College as Math 131, which is a calculus course, and then you've met the prerequisite for Queens College Echo 249. So again, proper planning, be efficient. By taking the 1 4-credit course here, you've met the requirement for both Queensborough to graduate and the prerequisite for when you get over to Queens College. Okay, I just want to briefly flip over to something else here. As you can see, I have these little documents because I'm an accountant and I work good with numbers and I put them in little boxes, so that's kind of what I do. I'm just curious though, how many of you here are interested in accounting? Because that'll gauge how much time I spend on this. How many of those who are interested in accounting plan on transferring to Queens College? Quite a few. Okay, what we like to do here, very often what happens is when students are thinking about transferring to a senior college, typically advisors will say, take the business administration program, BT1. And as Mr. Kerr pointed out earlier, that has a lot of liberal arts courses, and typically liberal arts courses transfer easier course for course over to the senior colleges. And as Mr. Kerr also stated, our AAS programs originally were designed for students that went out to work after completing the community college. But what we've discovered is that our accounting program here, our BA2 program, which gives you the AAS in accounting, most of the credits transfer course to course for Queens College. So we encourage you, if you're interested in studying accounting and you're looking to transfer to Queens College, we want you to know that almost all the courses, in fact 50 out of the 60 credits, go over course for course. So what I've designed here is a little document to help prove that to you. Now Queens just went through a change about 2 years ago, and some of our information certainly has changed, and we're still trying to get all the particulars worked out. We have been in touch, thanks to Mr. Kerr, with representatives at Queens College, but we have a few questions, so I did have this mock draft. It's not showing here now, because we do have 1 or 2 questions, but overall, this information is from Queens, and it's 98% accurate. So what I want to show you here, and I'll kind of briefly, is if you go to Queens College, you'll take 56 credits in accounting and 6 business elective credits for a total of 62. Then Queens College has their critical abilities. And I want to say, even if you're not an accounting major, these concepts apply to most senior colleges. They might use different terminology. They might call it basic courses or something other than critical abilities. Okay, so the terminology might be a little different, but the concepts are pretty much the same. So in this category, you need to take English. At Queens, it's 110 and 120. Well, your 2 English courses over here, 101 and 102, go over course for course. Okay? In terms of the writing intensive, you take 2 writing intensive courses here. This is one area I'm a little hazy on, but I think if I'm understanding it correctly, Queens College will only require you to take 1 writing intensive at Queens College. So they're accepting, if I understand correctly, the 2 writing intensives from Queensborough, and you only need to take 1 over there. And I'll jump ahead and tell you, if you're an accounting major, you're required to take Business Law 2 over at Queens College, and that's writing intensive. So there's your writing intensive course. Okay, so again, the planning, always the planning. Okay, foreign language is tricky. As Mr. Coombs said earlier, you're best checking with Queens College. My understanding of Queens is if you don't need language, no problem. If you do need language, you'll need 3 courses, 4 credit, 4 credit, and a 3 credit, a total of 11 credits. So that's a little tricky. I think if you had a high school foreign language regent, you're okay. And if you do speak a second language, my understanding is they will evaluate you. And if you pass whatever their requirements are, you're okay. So if you've never had a high school Regents, or you didn't take 3 years of language in high school, or you don't speak another language, then you're probably going to have to take foreign language, all right? But you might be able to not have to do that. Okay, then they have this abstract or quantitative reasoning, and several of our courses that you take here meet that requirement also. Okay, now they have this perspectives on liberal arts. They used to have another liberal arts and science category. This was replaced with the perspectives about 2 years ago. Some of the information on Queens College website, we still have a few questions on. So we're working with Queens College. For instance, the chemistry course is not showing as a course-for-course transfer, but we've been told it does transfer, so we're just trying to get all the documents up to date. All right, so this area is new, but they basically have all these different categories of liberal arts that you need to take. Now, most senior colleges will have some liberal arts or some general education requirements. Again, think ahead, plan. If you have room for extra credits here, take it in something that will meet the criteria for the college you're going to. All right, so here's the whole list. I won't go through it all, but I'll point out a few things. BU 301 here. You take that as an account, almost any business program here, you take business law, BU 301. That also meets the requirements for what they call culture and values, and it also meets their requirements for United States. So here's 6 credits that you don't have to take because that one course met a few criteria. And that's common in senior colleges, that one course will meet the criteria of a few different requirements. Again, so you always want to plan. That's why I say do a long schedule. So Queens has these programs. So let me boil it down a little more simply for you, or it's maybe not so simple. What I've done on this second page is compare all the courses you take here at Queensborough in the accounting program, all the courses you need at Queens College in their accounting program, and basically, after leaving Queensborough, what's left to take. And I think I'll just fast forward it a little bit, and then if there are particular questions on accounting, we can back up to it. But in summary, what actually happens, of the 60 credits you take in the accounting program here at Queensborough, 50 credits go course for course to your required courses, and some of them also meet the Perspectives Liberal Arts requirement. 10 of them are elective credits. But look what happens here. Accounting 1 here is 4 credits. At Queens College, it's only 3 credits. So they give you 3 credits for Accounting 1, and you end up with an elective credit. Okay, the same with Accounting 2. They give you 3 credits course for course, 1 elective credit. Okay, Intermediate 1, BU 103, transfers completely course to course. The big issues, and the ones the students always are concerned about, is BU 104, our Intermediate Part 2 course. Queens does not accept that course for course. They will accept it as elective credit. You'll be required to take a Queens College Intermediate 2, which is a 2-credit course. And I can tell you from experience from students that have transferred there and then come back here, several of our students that tutor in the Learning Center continue to work here even though they go over to Queens College. And they repeatedly inform us, the accounting professors here, how difficult the Intermediate Part 2 course is. Here we meet 4 hours a week, it's 3 credits. In Queens, they meet 3 hours a week, it's 2 credits, and they cover more material than we do here. And I'll give you one example. A nice young man, Felix, who tutored with us for many, many years. He was an accounting major. I had him several times. He was a straight-A student. He transferred over to Queens, but continued to work here. And he told me the first exam in Intermediate Part 2 at Queens, only 3 people passed, and all of them had taken our intermediate accounting first. And this was an A student. And he said the highest grade was like a 78 or something. So it's a much harder course. So what's my point? You're going to take an extra 2 credit at Queens. I do believe you're more successful in the long run if you complete the accounting program here. Similarly, with our tax course, BU 108, You will have to take a tax class at Queens College. Most senior colleges will do income taxes in one 4-credit course. It's all theory, it's tax law. They normally cover individual taxes, partnership taxes, and corporate taxes all in one course. It's all theory, you'll never see a tax return. In our BU 108, we only do individual taxes. You will actually prepare tax returns. You'll actually work on the computer for part of the course. It's a great course to have, whether you're an accounting major or not, so that if you're paying taxes down the road, making good income, paying some taxes, it's a good course to have, it's good knowledge to have. But in terms of the accounting program, I do believe it'll give you a very good basis, so you will do better at the senior college, in particular here, Queens College. Okay, so most of these extra credits are because we have more credits for a course than Queens. I didn't mention cost accounting, BU 110. You take cost accounting here, you get 2 credits, 2 elective credits, and then you proceed with cost accounting part 2 at Queens College. Okay, so that's what makes up your 10 elective credits. But we do believe your chances of success at Queens College in the accounting program are much higher if you achieve your basis here first. Okay, so I think I will stop with that at this point. We are going to have question and answers at the end, so if you have any questions, you can note them. At this time, we're going to invite our Hofstra representatives, Ms. Joya Bells and Ms. Erin Honung, to come up. They'll speak a few minutes. We're not done. We have Mr. Machida, who's going to talk about Baruch and the transfer application process within the CUNY system. So, and we're sure you'll have lots of questions there. Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Joya Bales. I am the Assistant Dean of the Frank G. Zarb School at Hofstra University. Myself and Erin Hornung are here today. Erin is our Associate Director of Admissions, and she specializes in helping transfer students join the Hofstra family. It took Erin and I about 20 minutes to drive here, so the Hofstra seems like it's very far away, but it really is not. It's just right over the Nassau border. And we do hope that if you are interested in Hofstra, you'll come to visit us. And I'll be here afterwards. Erin and I will both be here afterwards. If you want to take down our email address, contact us. We'd be happy to maybe arrange a visit to Hofstra with a tour, and you could see some of our facilities. I am going to talk about just a little bit about what we feel makes the Zarb School of Business at Hofstra an excellent place to study business and earn your 4-year degree. Erin is going to address more the admissions issues and the transfer credits and things like that. In order to tell you about the Zarb School and why we think it's unique, I brought, and Erin, if you mind, I brought just take one, thank you. I brought a pamphlet for each of you that's entitled Why Zarb? And it basically goes through in bullet points what we feel differentiates our program. Again, what makes it an excellent place to study business. And if you look through the brochure, we start off by talking about the fact that the Zarb School of Business is AACSB accredited. Now, what does that mean? Why is it important to you? Well, the AACSB is an accreditation agency that rates schools of business. About a third of the schools that offer undergraduate programs in business around the globe are AACSB accredited. So it's a differentiator. And so I would encourage all of you when researching a 4-year degree that you make sure that the school is AACSB accredited. Hofstra has had an AACSB accreditation for over 40 years. And in addition, we have separate accreditation in our accounting program, which is a very small sets of schools have the additional accounting accreditation. The next point that is mentioned in the brochure is our rankings. Again, Why is it important that Business Week, U.S. News and World Report, the Princeton Review has ranked us among the top business schools in the country? Well, it's one thing for Erin and I to tell you how wonderful Hofstra it is, but it's another thing for an outside entity to come in and evaluate your program and say, yeah, you're at the top. Just moving on, and I know we don't have a lot of time, and I am very grateful for this opportunity. Our facilities are premier at Hofstra. Hofstra was named in Princeton Review one of the best wired campuses in the United States. I am also a finance professor, so I am particularly proud of our trading room that we have, and in fact there's a photograph on the fourth page here of a student at one of the 34 Bloomberg terminals that we have in this trading room. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bloomberg system or the mayor, Michael Bloomberg. This is where he made his billions and billions of dollars developing a software, hardware system that is the industry standard for monitoring the financial markets. Bloomberg donated 34 terminals to Hofstra, and we have the same type of information, both historical as well as real-time, that a professional would have. So if you're going to work at an accounting firm or at an investment bank or at a commercial bank, there's going to be Bloombergs there, and we have 34 of them at Hofstra, the largest academic trading room in the world. We also have a very active student population. We have 15 student organizations in the School of Business on the undergraduate level, and they're constantly bringing in speakers, doing events. We also have 2 research centers at the School of Business, one in real estate and the other in international financial services and markets. We are always doing conferences, seminars, and students are invited to all of the events, including breakfasts, lunch, banquets, etc. Just to give you a quick example, in December, we had a conference, the Zarb School had a conference on social responsibility in business. It was to celebrate the Hofstra's 75th anniversary. It was an all-day conference, followed by a banquet where ex-Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill, who is a good friend of Hofstra's, gave the keynote address. Students were there. I wasn't supposed to let any of my undergraduate students drink wine. I don't think I did too well at that, but nobody said anything. But we had about 45 undergraduate students at that banquet. So our classes at Hofstra are very small. Also, you're not going to get huge lecture classes, and our faculty is very involved. And the last thing I'll say is just the majors that we have at the Zarb School on the undergraduate level. We also offer the BBA, the Bachelor of Business Administration. We have a degree in accounting, legal studies in business. These are all separate: accounting, legal studies in business, finance, marketing, international business, management, entrepreneurship, which is one of our newest majors and also is a fairly unique program at the undergraduate level, and information technology. I think I got them all. So those are our majors. Finally, we have developed over the past year many 5-year programs. And your professor was talking about an efficiency of earning a degree. Well, a 5-year program, and for you guys, it would be only 3 years, because you've already done the first 2 years here at Queensborough. But a 5-year program, you come to Hofstra your junior year, and in 3 years you earn your BBA and a graduate degree, either an MBA or an MS. How do you do that? Well, you do it because some of the courses that you take in your senior year as an undergraduate double count for your undergraduate degree and your graduate degree. So that is something that more and more students are looking at. These are tough financial times, and this is a very cost-effective way to achieve success. Again, I'm glad to be here to represent the Hofstra family, and I look forward to speaking to you afterwards. I'll turn the mic over to Erin.
All right, so first and foremost, I just wanted to extend another thank you for having us here. We always enjoy these opportunities to visit campuses and speak to prospective students. So I know that we are focusing on the area of business here, but what I'd like to do for you is just highlight some of the wonderful opportunities that Hofstra has to offer transfer students from Queensborough. Some great news is that we have started the process in forming an articulation agreement with Queensborough. The other thing I'd like to say is that if you have any specific questions about Hofstra, we work very closely with Mr. Machida, so you can always visit the four-year transfer office to learn more about the exciting opportunities at Hofstra. But with regards to the articulation agreement, like I mentioned, we have started building a stronger relationship with Queensborough. The other highlight to that is that as recently as a month ago, the entire catalog and course catalog from Queensborough was evaluated, all the courses in all the different areas. They were all evaluated by our department chairpersons on campus at Hofstra. So you can actually go onto our website, and again, it's as up to date as a month ago, and check out the admission website, transfer students, credit evaluations, and pick Queensborough Community College, and there'll be a drop-down menu of every course you could have possibly taken here at Queensborough and how they transfer over to Hofstra. So you can get a head start in terms of, taking a look at your transcript and seeing how those courses transfer over. Just to speak a little bit about the transfer credits. General rule of thumb is that we accept 64 credits from a community college. If you're business major, 65 credits from a community college. We actually just underwent last year a revision of our transfer credit policy. It is much more flexible. Your credits now go farther at Hofstra. So the idea there is really just that you are able to fulfill many more of our distribution requirements. I know that they're called something different at every school. You had mentioned that. For us, the liberal arts requirements, regardless of your major, are called distribution requirements. It's made it much more it's an easier transition for you to take your Queensborough credits and transfer them to Hofstra and have them apply and count towards these distribution or these course-by-course counting classes like you mentioned. So the goal there is really so that you come in as a junior and get started right on your degree. And you don't have too many more of those distribution requirements left to take. Foreign language has come up quite a few times, so I'll talk very quickly about your foreign language requirement as business majors. As a business major, the only business major that actually has a foreign language requirement is international business, rightfully so. But all the other business majors, you do not have a foreign language requirement. Good? Yeah? All right. Another opportunity that I wanted to highlight for you is the opportunity to earn some merit-based transfer scholarships. We are a private institution, so the tuition that you're paying is a little bit higher than some of the other schools that have been mentioned today. But the benefits of pursuing an undergraduate degree at a private school, in terms of earning merit-based scholarship money, our transfer students are considered for merit-based scholarship money. Typically, if you have about a 3.0 GPA or higher, and our scholarships range from $2,000 a year upwards to $15,000 a year. So there's a real opportunity for you to earn some scholarship money in terms of financing your education at Hofstra. We also have a PTK scholarship. It's for fall admission only, and that scholarship is a competitive award. Again, you can speak to Mr. Machida about the guidelines for that, but that could potentially be an additional $2,500 per year if you meet the criteria for the PTK scholarship and you're awarded that money. So $17,500, in terms of merit-based scholarship money. It's a great opportunity for Queensborough students to pursue. In terms of your transfer credits, if you're interested in finding out, like I said, I suggest to check out the website. The other thing that you can do is visit campus. We definitely encourage students to visit campus. We have campus visit opportunities Monday through Saturday, and then in the summertime, Sundays as well. So our campus is open to you, and like Joya had mentioned, it really is only a 20-minute commute. It's a pretty quick commute. So come and visit campus. We also have Transfer Center available for you Monday through Friday, different appointments, about 2-hour blocks of time throughout the day. What you can do is you don't even have to have applied to come to Transfer Center. You could be a prospective student just, interested in speaking to an admission counselor and finding out about your transfer credits ahead of time. I think a common theme of all of this, and I think this is wonderful that you do this for these students, is plan, and plan some more. If you have a couple of different institutions that you're interested in attending, do the planning, ahead of time. It's going to make it that much easier for you to then complete your associate's degree here and then have that smooth transition to your 4-year school. So Transfer Center is an opportunity for you. Like I said, you bring a copy of your transcript and meet with myself or my colleague, Maria Campanella. We'll do a credit evaluation right there on the spot for you. And then you'll sit down with an academic advisement dean. And that's important because I can tell you, and assure you that all 65 of your credits are going to transfer over, but the advisement dean is the one that is going to show you how they apply towards your degree. So you can take care of all of that in an hour spent on our campus. I mean, if you guys have any specific questions, we'll be here afterward. I definitely encourage you to speak to Mr. Machida if you have any specific questions about Hofstra. But the scholarship opportunities, and the other thing about Hofstra that Joya had mentioned is, in terms of Hofstra and giving you that close personal attention there, our average class size is 22 students. So you may not be changing very much from what you have here at Queensborough. We only have about 8,000 undergraduate students, so you are able to have a relationship with your professors and keep that. There's a 14-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio at Hofstra. We don't have lecture halls that hold, 300 students. So you definitely will be a name to your professor. You'll build strong relationships with the faculty members on campus, and that will only enhance your academic experience there. And the internship opportunities, there's endless potential for you. We have a phenomenal career center as well. We do job and internship fairs every semester. You can utilize the career center from the time that you step foot on campus. They do resume building and critiquing, mock interviews, so that we can kind of employ you with those skills that you'll need, for when you go out and start your career in the field. Anything else you can think of that I, no? Good? Need to cover? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I invite you to put your contact information up on the board. We're going to finish up with Mr. Machida, who's going to speak about several things that'll be of interest to you. When the question-answer period opens up, I'm going to put back up on the screen all of our contact information. So if you need to speak with any of us or want to make appointments, you'll have that contact information. There you go.
One thing I want to reiterate what was just said by the representatives from Hofstra is that if you do go out to Hofstra, they also have a bus that will meet you at the Long Island Railroad Station and carry you to the campus, and it costs nothing. I was just there 2.5 weeks ago for the Transfer Council breakfast. Now, most of you are here to hear about Baruch. Am I correct? The first question you will hear when you walk into my office is, okay, what's your curriculum? And where do you want to transfer and why? Not too many people can answer that question. The one answer that I do hear, Queens College, it's convenient. Big mistake. You should always look at the institution and see what the institution has to offer you. Not because it's convenient where you can roll out of bed and be there in 15 minutes. If Queens College is good, yes. Accounting, you will have no argument with me. Go to Queens College. If you want business administration, there are plenty of schools out there that offer business administration. There are plenty of schools that have integral programs that will help you. For one, I'm an MBA graduate. I did not go to CUNY. I've been working at CUNY for 37 years, but I did not get my MBA from CUNY. I went private. I had to look and see what the school had to offer me and what I could do with it. And I think I've done quite well. I'm not saying don't go to CUNY, but I'm saying just do your research. Find out what schools have to offer you, what size are the classes, what types of programs they have, what they can do for you once you graduate, their placement office, where can they place you, how can they get you a job, what kind of job they can get you. You look at all of that, you can make a valid decision and an educated decision, and then move on your way. As you were told by everyone here, planning, planning, planning. That's the key for planning, looking at the total picture, not just myopically through narrow eyes. Just look at the whole thing. Now back to Baruch. Baruch will accept all of our credits if you do the BT1 curriculum. The one thing I told students is that I push them to take 440 and 441. You take the 441, you don't have to do the exam the placement exam once you get there. If you're going into business, you're going to need a strong math background. I didn't have a problem with math on the undergraduate level, in high school, anything like that. But when I got to graduate school and I had to do probability, it kicked my butt. So if you cannot do 441, you've got issues ahead of you. So make sure that you are strong in your math when you're going ahead in that field. Grade point averages. The grade point average varies from semester to semester. Students will come back and tell me, well, all I had was a 3.2 and I got in. But how many students applied when you got in? The way the City University system works is that they will put everyone from CUNY in one pool and everyone from the private industry and from the high schools, they're looked at separately. Now, when you apply, if you apply by the deadline date, which Baruch adheres to, there are two of them, February 1 for fall admission and September 15th for spring admission. If you want to get into Baruch, you have to apply by that deadline date. And when I say apply, that means your application has to be in, your transcript from Queensborough and any other institution, higher ed institution that you've attended has to be in, as well as your high school transcript. You may have given your high school transcript to Queensborough, but the university does not have your high school transcript. If you graduated from high school here in the United States, you need to contact your high school and have them send it in. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If it's not in, your application won't be processed. If you have your GED, or you were educated at a high school outside of the US, you can send a photocopy of your high school diploma or your GED, and they will accept that. I know it seems unfair, but for some reason, this is the university's policy. When Baruch looks at your transcripts from Queensborough, well, when the university looks at your transcript, if you've graduated with your 2-year degree from a 2-year CUNY school, the required GPA is 2.75. The minimum GPA is 2.75. That's only with your degree. If you don't have your degree, the stakes are much higher. For example, there was one semester where if you had less than a 3.7, you did not get into Baruch. That's without the degree. Because then you're placed in a pool with other students from CUNY schools, you're placed in a pool with students from private institutions trying to transfer in, as well as students that are graduating from high school. You're all trying to get into the Zicklin School. And with the enrollment numbers as high as they are right now, it's become very difficult. At one point last fall, I think there was an applicant pool of 100,000 students trying to get into CUNY. That's because of the cost. It costs $4,000 to go to CUNY for a year, $45,000 a year to go to private schools. Well, some private schools, not all. So that's where people are going. For their undergrad, they would rather go to CUNY and spend minimal amount and save all of their money for when they go to grad school, because that's where it's going to cost. So remember, you're better off getting your degree and transferring to the 4-year schools. And if you have that 440 and 441, that math will carry into any college in the country. As opposed, I'm not going to say that 260 will not, but that 440 and 441 will transfer without a problem. You get a C or better, you're in like gold, because everyone wants pre-calc and calc. You don't have to worry about it. As far as the economics are concerned, there's no way around it. We must do it. Now, as far as the application is concerned, what you need to do with the application, the website is the CUNY portal. You have to go to the CUNY portal. It's www.cuny.edu, which was a site that everyone has touched on before. You click on there, and that'll take you to the sign-in page, and there'll be a spot on there. Can you click on that? Yeah.
On here?
That's the page. What you can do is click on Future Students. Click on Future Students and apply to CUNY. Undergraduate, everyone here is an undergrad. And at this point in time, we're looking at spring 2012, and that's what you'll be applying for. You complete the application, answer all questions, including what you're currently registered for and what you'll be registered for the following semester. Once you get through that application, you will click on Submit and Print. What'll occur then is that it will print out a copy of the application for you for your records. Submit, it will send it to the university. Now, they will have your application. At that point in time, it's up to you to go to the registrar here at Queensborough, have them send in your transcript. Don't wait for the university to pull down your transcript, even though they have that ability. What's occurred in the past was that they would go to the wrong institution, not get a transcript and assume the students had a hold on their record and stop processing the application. I've seen that happen several times. So what I tell the students, you take control of your own life, you make sure the transcript is sent in. If you tell the registrar they have to send it in, the registrar must send the transcript in. So you're sending in your transcript from Queensborough and any other college you've attended, you're sending in your high school transcript, and so that you don't have to pay the $70 application fee, you're sending in proof that you are going to be registered for that last semester. Meaning, if you're applying for the fall semester, you have to show them proof that you're registered at a CUNY school the spring semester. That's going on to CUNY first and just printing out your registration schedule and mailing it in. That'll exempt you from the $70 application fee. Excuse me? Well then, I would ask for my 70 back. If you're currently registered, you do not have to pay that application fee. It'll take them some time. You should get it back. If you don't get it back, contact me and I will do what I can and I will get it back for you. When you're applying to private schools, schools outside of CUNY, ask about application fee waivers. Because I know when my son applied, he applied to 13 colleges. And you're looking at $100, $150 per application. It's a costly thing to do. He got away with murder. I don't know who your parents are. They may not appreciate it. I don't know what your pockets are like. But always ask if they have an application fee waiver. If they do, go for it. There's no harm in asking. SUNY, when you go to the SUNY website, which is suny.edu, you complete that application, and there is a step in there to apply for an application fee waiver. There, they will waive the fee for up to 4 colleges. That application costs $50 per college. You can apply to 4 colleges, that's $200. But if you meet the income requirements, the guidelines that they set on that waiver, you complete that form, bring it to my office, I will sign off, and then you will be waived for 4 colleges, the fee for 4 colleges. But this process is something that you have to take, and you have to do it in a timely manner. If you don't do it in a timely manner, then you're left out in the cold. Currently, Queensborough is trying to do something for you to make the whole process easy, which is our academic audit program. We're trying to let students know a semester in advance that there is a possibility that you may be graduating. So with that, you'll be alerted, well, these are the only courses I have left to take. I know I have to do that. These are the steps that I have to take to transfer to a 4-year school. Then I know what to do in that situation. I notify students from my office when they've completed 45 credits or more that now is the time to start thinking about transferring. I do it through Tiger Mail. You will not get a letter from me through the U.S. Postal System. So before you start deleting your Tiger Mail, which I know people do because I have a read receipt on everything I send out. So if you delete it without reading it, I know. But what I say to you is now, I'm sending out information about transfers. I'm sending out information that other colleges send me. I'm also sending out information about scholarships. So if you see Mu Cheetah in there, before you delete it, read it. That's all I ask. Basically, you have anything? Yes.
One of a student emailed a couple questions. She couldn't be here, and I thought it was pretty valid. These are a couple questions that a student emailed because she could not be here today. One of the questions is that she took Spanish 1 semester in terms of the foreign language, maybe Mr. Kuhn, and she did not want to do LS 112. She wanted to know if she could have done French. Would she need to go back and do the 2 semesters of French?
You need 2 semesters
of the same
language.
Okay. Because that's the question most students come through the office and they ask.
The question was about foreign languages. You must take the same foreign language. You cannot take 1 semester of one language, another semester of another language. It must be the same language.
In terms of the CUNY application,
Yes.
I think it requires at least 4 colleges.
A maximum 6 colleges you
6.
can place on there.
Most students tell me they put 1. What is your recommendation in terms of that?
If you put 1 college, and right now with enrollment being so tight, if there's no room for you in that 1 college, your application will be placed on the side and not be processed until later on. In any situation, if you know there are 2, for example, if you're trying to get into Baruch, you can put down business administration and put down another business curriculum, or you can put down liberal arts. I know in the past they would not take students who were accepted into the School of Liberal Arts and allow them to transfer into the Zicklin School. Right now, at this point in time, that's been relaxed because there is a double application process. To get into Zicklin, first you have to be accepted into Baruch, and then they will review your application again to see whether or not you meet the qualifications to get into Zicklin. I say do not put down 1 school. Brooklyn College has an excellent business program. York College has an excellent business administration program. They even have a program called Business Administration in the Aeronautics Industry, which there is only 1 other school in the city that offers a BBA in the aeronautics industry, and that's Vaughn College of Aeronautics over by LaGuardia Airport. The thing with York is that they require you to take a semester of flying lessons as part of the program, and it falls under the curriculum. So you need, like I said before, you need to look at all schools in the area to see where you can go with that institution, with that program, with that curriculum.
Last question. Sometimes students are referred to the business department to get advice. Can you just reiterate the amount of credits that they can, the difference between going to academic advisement and coming to the business department?
Students who come to academic advisement generally have under 25 credits. So when you have 25 or more earned credits and you have a GPA of, let's say, a 2.0 to 2.74, you'd go to an academic department for advisement. If you have a 2.75 or higher with 25 or more earned credits, generally you don't have to be advised because we do have a mandatory advisement policy, but you don't need to be advised. You can actually self-advise, and you'll have a appointment date on the CUNY First system, and you'll see that when you look. It'll say your shopping cart can be used on this date, but your enrollment date is X. And I think it's probably like sometime in mid-April. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. It might be April 13th for the web students, we call them, which are the students who have, again, 25 or more earned credits, 2.75 or higher GPA. And you can look at our website. It gives you all the specs on who you are and where you're supposed to go. Good question.
Before we move on, with the shopping cart, could you explain that putting classes in the shopping cart doesn't necessarily mean you're registered for that class?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That's a good point. Again, with this new system, that we did find about 700 or 800 students in this go-round for Spring 11 who thought they were registered for classes because they put classes in the shopping cart but didn't press, once you have the classes in the cart, that's great, but you have to press submit, or there's something that you have to do. There's another step. Just putting the classes in and not doing anything doesn't mean you're in the classes. So we found that there were students who thought they were enrolled but weren't because they never followed the steps. So just make sure, and what happens sometimes you put classes in the cart and they're not all open. So when you press submit, 3 of the 5 that you selected may go through, but the other 2, maybe they were closed. So you want to just pay attention to that. Don't assume that it's because it's in the cart, you're in that for fall 2011. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are mics in the middle of the room. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. One thing I want to point out is that up here in the front, I have these brochures that come from CUNY. They list every single curricula that CUNY offers at every single school of CUNY. So you can take one of these and see what program did you want and what institution offers that program. Now, questions? Yes?
Yes, about the language. Suppose I know Baruch. I know how to read, I know how to write, and I can speak properly. So is it possible that we could evaluate? That's the reason I didn't take in high school any language classes, because they told that since I know it, I don't have to take it. So would it also apply here, or no, I have to take it?
That you would have to go to the foreign language department and they would make that determination. The public schools are a little bit more lax than the colleges are as far as requirements are concerned. So speaking with the department chair, they and only they would give you that the waiver for that, and make sure you get it in writing and that the registrar gets a copy of it. Okay, her question was, in high school, she speaks, reads Bengali fluently. She wanted to know whether or not we would accept that as fulfilling her language requirement. And my response was, speak to the chairperson, and this goes for anyone with any language. You go to the foreign language department and let them make that determination. You have any question about any requirement, speak to the department chairs. They are the only ones who can waiver those requirements for you. Yes, and make sure you get it in writing. Yes.
Okay. About the application process.
Yes.
Say if I apply through, put them as number 1, and I put Queens College as 2, and I don't get into Baruch for some reason, and Queens College won't accept me because I didn't put them first.
Queens College, okay, the question was, if the person puts Baruch down as their number 1 choice, Queens as their second choice, and they don't get into Baruch for some reason, and Queens decides not to accept them because they were not the first choice. Queens doesn't know what choice you are, all right? It's a completely blind process. Everything goes to the university, nothing goes to the institution right away. Go ahead. Nothing goes to, you're not applying to the school, you are applying to the university. So the university receives your application, the university processes your application. They will see if you don't meet the requirements for your first choice, then they go to your second choice. That's why it's important that you put down more than 1 choice. First here, then there, okay? Yes. Could we keep the noise down so we can hear the questions, please? Okay. We have more of those brochures in my office, Administration Building 119A. All right? Yes, sir. Okay, the question, excuse me. Come here, you want to ask the question so everyone can hear it? Yeah. Okay, this is a question I want everyone to listen because it may affect some of you. Go ahead.
There are students that have 60 plus credits in a community college, because I graduated from here, and I need to take accounting courses. And I was wondering if I were to take all the 60 credits in the school and then transfer to Queens College, which would probably be an additional 12 credits I got to take because auditing 1 and 2 are not there, and cost accounting 3 and 4, 2 and 3 actually. Would that be a wise thing to do, to just go to college, to Queens College for just 1 or maybe a semester and a half, like meaning 12 credits and then maybe another 4 credits after that? Get it?
No, I don't. Now, you already graduated from Queens. You already graduated from Queensboro. You have that degree. Now, you're going currently to Queens College?
No, I used to.
You used to go to Queens College, and you have credits over there as well. Okay, now what you would do, if you wanted to go back to Queens College, you would have to apply to Queens College as a readmit student. They would look at your grades from before and look at the courses that you completed before and for the curriculum that you're currently applying to. And they would see how those credits fit into that curriculum, and then they would add them all together and see whether or not you've met the requirements.
Yeah, because I'm saying is that if I was to take all the classes over here, I'm just missing business law 2 and also auditing 1 and 2, and that would be it.
Well, see, I can't say what Queens would do.
I would have to look at all the specifics, but as Hofstra mentioned, they take either 60 or 65 credits. Whatever college you intend to transfer to, all senior colleges have a maximum amount that they will transfer in. And I believe Queens, it's 75 credits. So you don't want to end up taking more courses here. You said you already have a degree here. If you end up with 90 credits here, they won't take more than 75. You'll end up just losing those courses. And I believe it's 70 credits for Baruch. But just be aware of that wherever you transfer to. Find out the maximum credits that they will take from any community college, so you don't keep taking courses here and then you end up losing them.
No, he went to Queens before.
Yeah, I understand that. But I'm worried about his quantity of credits.
Yeah, but the number of, we cannot say what Queens will accept. We cannot do that. We can't say what any school will accept other than Queensboro. But given by what you said, that you have credits here, you also have credits over there, a little bit over there. Now, if you want them to apply towards your degree here, that's one story. But if you want them to apply to the degree over at Queens, only Queens can answer that question. But I can tell you that they will not take more than 75 credits. So if you're at that point where you've got 60 some odd credits from us and you're nearing 75, you need to stop here and go on to the four-year institution. You need to stop here and go on to that four-year school. And that holds true for any school or any person or any program. Do not take more than 75 credits at a two-year institution. Those credits, they will be lost. They are considered lost. They're not electives. If they're only going to take 75, 75 is the cutoff. At that point in time, you need to move on. There are some schools that will accept up to 90, but you have to find out from that institution. That could be a combination of 60 or 70 credits from a two-year school and 15 to 20 from a four-year school. But the institution, the receiving institution, will make that determination as to how many credits they will accept, which credits they will accept. So you have to start speaking to them early. Yes, ma'am. You want to step down to that mic so we can hear? Oh, come on. Don't be shy. Okay.
Recommendation. Say I do complete this whole degree.
Keep the mic still.
Huh?
Keep the mic still. I can hear you.
Say I could, I complete the whole degree and then I transfer to Baruch. How long should I put that off as long as I've had my associate's degree?
What do you mean put it off? You mean
Like,
stop going to school
put it off,
here,
going
and
to a four-year school. Like, is there a certain time frame?
It's suggested that you do it on a continual basis. As soon as you finish here, move right on. Your next to last semester here is when you should be applying to the four-year schools.
Okay.
They understand that your final grades are not in. Everyone knows that, even within CUNY. The private schools, they're aware of that also.
Okay.
They will be looking at your preliminary transcript, the one that you have in your hands or the one that Queensboro sends them. They will make a determination based upon what they see. And if they're not sure, they can always ask you for a final transcript.
So if I hand in my transcript now and say I'm graduating in June,
Yeah.
and I mean now I could only apply for the spring semester. Basically, they'll look at my transcript now.
I would do the application now anyway, even though we're past the deadline date for the other schools other than Baruch. I mean, Baruch,
For full?
For Brooklyn, the private schools, York, still do your application.
For full?
For the fall, yes.
Okay.
And what's going to happen with those students, this is only within CUNY. They will be placed on a waiting list. The private schools have their own deadline dates.
Yeah.
Ours are the early ones, yeah.
Yeah, just very quickly, in terms of Hofstra specifically, we have operate on a rolling admission basis, so there's no firm deadline in terms of when to apply. So if you're still interested in the fall semester, you can absolutely still continue to apply. We have paper applications with, I know Mr. Machida mentioned this, paper application has a $70 application fee, the online application has a $50 application fee. We also accept the common application. If you're interested in getting a fee waiver, you can always email me and let me know that you're submitting your application. I can take care of that for you. We can go through Mr. Machida. But in terms of the fall semester, we accept applications and students and register students all the way through till the end of the summer. And then in terms of the spring semester, we suggest you have your application in by November 1st. But again, we operate on a rolling admission basis, so all the way through January for the spring semester. Just to give you an idea.
Yes. Turn it on.
Yeah. You mentioned before that I think that one of the positives for Baruch is that you have to provide your high school, like all.
No, this is a CUNY regulation, not Baruch. This is a CUNY regulation.
CUNY regulation.
CUNY, yeah.
Is it? So then, is your high school transcript placed in the review, or it's just a policy to?
If you're graduating from a two-year school, it's not being placed in review. The reason why they're requesting the high school transcripts, several years ago, the state did an audit. And since they're processing the applications and students are saying that they graduated high school, the state wanted them to have proof on file that these people did actually graduate from high school. Not that the units had it, because when you came to us, we requested it, but we didn't process the application. The University Application Processing Center processed the application. So they're just saying that if you're processing the application and students are submitting documentation to you, this is one of the documents that you need to have on file. That's your high school diploma.
Would I be able to get that from this school itself? Because I think my high school...
We cannot send out that because we're not the issuing institution.
Well, it might have been closed by the city is what I'm saying.
But yeah, but the Board of Ed still has central files. You can get that information from the Board of Ed.
Okay.
Everything is there.
All right,
okay?
thank you.
And one thing that you also should remember that like some of the private schools, if you transfer after completing only one semester or two and have only 24 credits, they will look at your high school transcript and it will carry some weight. So your best bet is going with your degree, taking all of your credits with you, not having them look at your high school if you don't have a stellar high school record, and just going with all of your credits. Yes, 1 second.
Yeah, I got a question for Hofstra.
Yes.
To get into the ZARB school, what is the GPA? Are they...
In terms of applying to Hofstra, one of the nice aspects of applying to Hofstra is we have 145 different majors. Once you're admitted as a transfer student to Hofstra, you're admitted into all the different majors with very few exceptions. The only programs that you then have a secondary application to is the Physician Assistant Studies program in the School of Education. So once you're admitted as a transfer student to Hofstra, you're admitted into the ZARB School of Business and all the business programs. For transfer students, the general rule of thumb in terms of admission criteria, if you have the 24 or more credits, is a solid C+ GPA. We're looking for about a 2.5 GPA, and then a 3.0 and above would be considered for scholarship.
Yes.
I know here, I mean, if you need the prerequisites for all the classes in the 4-year school, can you take different classes at different levels, or certain classes you can only take at a certain level? I know in like Queens College is upper freshman, lower freshman.
Okay, the question that was being asked is, are you restricted from taking some courses depending upon the number of credits you have completed? And the answer is yes. You have to be a junior to take junior level courses at a 4-year institution. Junior level courses, you're a junior once you've completed 60 credits. That's why students feel that they can leave here and go to the 4-year school and start with their major right away. You cannot do that. You cannot take those junior and senior level classes until you're at that level. Yes?
Are the senior, like, are certain classes only supposed to be taken at a senior level rather than a junior level?
According to some institutions, yes. Some institutions do have that requirement. So that it really doesn't behoove you to leave here to go to, for example, if you take English 101 and 102 at Queensborough, as opposed to taking English 101 and 102 at Queens College, your tuition is going to be higher for the same exact course. All right? But if you want to transfer over there just because you believe you can take your courses in your major, that cannot be done because you cannot take those courses until you reach a certain credit level. And that would be your junior or your senior level.
Can I add something there? Baruch in particular, the goal is that you transfer in as a junior there. In particular, you have to have both economics courses, which is required in our business administration program, the BU 512 also required, and calculus, meaning Math 261 or 441. So if you only took the pre-calc as your 4-credit math course here, you're missing the calculus. Baruch won't take you in as a junior. So that's why we recommend if you don't need language, you take the 441. They're very particular about that.
I was talking in aspects of like classes that you do have to take.
Yeah, no, classes within your major. You still, if you're not a junior and you have 50 credits, you are an upper sophomore. And those courses that you're speaking of that are in your major or your expertise, which will be in the future, if you're not a junior, having that 60 credits, you can't take those classes. So you're locked out until you get to that point. Once you get to the 60 credits, that door opens, the junior level course door opens, and then you can take those. The senior level course door won't open until you get to 90 credits. All right, yes? Well, if you haven't taken the 441 here, Yes, you will have to take the placement exam and place yourself out of that course there or take the course there. But theoretically, you've left here with 60 credits, so you will be a junior when you walk in the door. But you will still have to take that calculus course. Yes. I recommend that you take the 440 and 441 here to every single student who's in business administration, no matter what school they plan on transferring to. Baruch especially, because then you'd be exempt from taking that placement exam. You want to speak to that as a former Baruch student?
Have you taken 440 already?
No, because I haven't taken it. So we want to know.
They won't let you just go into 440.
You would still need to take 440, despite your major being accountant.
This young lady, she's an accounting student and wants to know whether or not she would have to take the 441. It's recommended that she takes the 441, especially if you're going to Baruch. If you're going to Queens, that's a horse of a different color. All right?
You should also check with the math department because they won't let you just jump over certain courses. They have some exams and they will find out that you can place higher based on past math classes and grades on the placement exams. But most likely you will not be able to just go right into.
I just want to mention that, most students that come through my office, they ask me all the time, what do I need to get into Baruch? As much as you want to take courses that's going to transfer, you also want to fulfill your requirements here. What the degree requires you to do here to graduate. And I see students go into TIPS and they're looking for the equivalent classes, and that's fine. But just keep in mind that curriculum that you have, you must fulfill all of that in order to graduate out of Queensboro. So don't lose focus on that.
Yes.
Math 120, is that kind of as an elective or towards the...
Towards a BT degree, 120 is counted as an elective.
Now, I'm going to be taking 128, 440, and 441.
Yes. 120 is a prereq for 440, yeah.
128.
My,
Did you say 128 or
128, 440.
Why are you taking 128? I thought you were taking 120, 440, and 441.
But to go to Queens, we need to take 128,
But
right?
don't take 440, 441.
But if I'm...
Oh, if you want to go to
Yeah, I don't want to...
Well, Queens will accept the 440. Queens will accept the 440. That's why I say any school in the country will accept the 440 and the 441.
So I wouldn't have to take 128, right? If I took 440, I don't have to
We
take...
recommend it, but no, you're not obligated.
No. Okay, 2 more questions because, yes. You're next.
With the 440,
If you don't do well at Baruch on that exam, yes, you will have. If it means you have to go back, you will go back. That's why you study hard. Yes, ma'am. The question was, if she takes and passes 120, does she have to take 128? What's your curriculum? Business administration? I would suggest that you speak with one of us on, because I would not want her to, 128 is not going to help her.
You definitely have to take an additional math course afterwards.
Yeah.
And it could be any of math 260, 261, 440, or 441, or math 180. You have 5 choices.
No, 440. Then you're fine. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I know the Baruch College require TOEFL exam for the students English as second language, and if I graduate here, do I have to still take a exam?
That TOEFL exam is required if you're going in as a freshman. Once you've completed English 101 and 102 here and you have your degree, you are no longer required to take the TOEFL. That I know specifically because that question has come up several times this semester. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, business administration is the transfer program for finance and accounting at Baruch, the BT1. You're going for the AS degree. Now, the transfer program for accounting to Queens, that's the BA2 program. That's the only difference. Okay? BA2 is a transfer specifically and solely to Queens College. You cannot take the BA2 and transfer to Baruch. You can't take the BA2 program, business accounting, and transfer to Hofstra. You can only transfer to Queens College and not lose any credits. You go to any other school in the country, you will lose credits. So yours should be business administration, BT1, the transfer program. Once you get to Baruch, you will head into their accounting program and take their accounting courses. That's a personal preference. That's a very you have to do the research. I can't tell you which one is better over the other school, but I can tell you Queens has an excellent accounting program, as does Baruch. So you have to look at each program and see what they require for their graduates and how that's going to suit you. Sit down with their placement director and see where they place their students, as you would if you went to Hofstra or Adelphi. Speak with the placement director, see what type of schools or businesses they have recruiting on campus and that they send their students to for jobs. That's your ultimate goal, where you're going to be employed, what type of lifestyle you're going to have. So you need to find out how this is going to work for you. All right? Not how it's going to work for your friend, how it's going to work for you. Don't depend on what happened with your friend or your brother or your sister. You're an entirely different individual. So how this reflects on you, whether or not you're comfortable on that campus, that plays an important part as well. You may not like Queens College's atmosphere. You may love what's going on at Baruch. Baruch is right there, 23rd and Lex, near all the stores. That may be your ideal campus. Whereas Queens College, Adelphi, Hofstra, or Queensboro is out here in the middle of nowhere. You may like that. But whatever makes you comfortable, that's what you choose as your goal. Okay? One last...
We're going to take one more question because we really got to wrap it up. It's 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I got a walkthrough to do.
So just one more question. And if you want to stay on, that's fine. You know, to talk to the representatives from Hofstra, Professor Alani. Just one more question. All right, go.
No.
I just want to add one
Your
thing.
transcript will be your placement results.
It varies every time. When I graduated from Queensboro, all I needed to take was Math 440. I didn't have any more math to take at Baruch. But it is better now, currently, if you could do both Math 440 and 441. So my advice is every student has a different situation. Please don't listen to your friends. Get the correct information, what you need. Okay, and my second advice to you, those of you who are trying to deviate from taking a foreign language in business, and I can tell you from my personal experience, when you have that foreign language asset under your belt, it looks good when you go for that interview and that job. Because I've been asked, are you bilingual? So you kind of have the extra edge. So even though you want the easy way out, sometimes it's not always good to. Okay? Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank all our speakers for taking the time. Let's give a nice round of applause for making the effort and giving valuable information.